game yesterday. Nick Sirianni. I don't like speaking ill of people, but at what point do we say Nick Sirianni is more of an issue for the team than somebody that benefits us moving forward? Look at the play calls he had in this game on Sunday. We had to sit there for a good 2 or 3 hours and watch that slop that Nick Sirianni wanted to call play calling or situational play calling throughout the game, and see them allow a team that had no business being even competitive with us take us down to the wire and almost hand us our one of our worst defeats in franchise history. It would have been, if we would have lost the game, it would have been the second largest blown lead in Eagles franchise history. And it didn't need to be that way. So I'll take you quickly down. Um, I'll take you quickly through what happened and how we ended up in that spot. So the Eagles ended up beating the 2-6 Jaguars, 28-23, dropping them to 2-7 and bringing us up to 6-2. And as I want to get into talking about this, of course, the siren would be in the background in case you guys hear. But honestly, that's fitting. That's the way a lot of Eagles fans feel right now regarding this team. Alarm, concern, distress. Kind of feels like our season's on life support, even though we're 6-2. You look at Nick Sirianni and what he did in this game, and we'll start at the beginning. And you look at the first two-point conversion attempt. You had 22 seconds left in the second quarter, right? Eagles were up 16-0. We were rolling this team. They had nothing for us. You go into the link, you get a quick lead, and you have them on their heels. It's like, hey, we're the Eagles, you're the Jaguars. This is what it's going to be today. Exactly the way we hoped it would have played out, starting out. So we're up 16-0. Devon Hamilton jumps off sides on an extra point attempt, and Sirianni said, you know what, let's go for two. The tush push does not work. It seemed like Jalen Hurts got over the goal line, but they ruled that it was unsuccessful. So now you're up 16-0 versus a bad team, but it's still a two-score game, okay? So not the end of the world. Second two-point conversion attempt, you miss. 9 minutes left in the third quarter. We come out in the third quarter and we get a 22-0 lead on an 18-yard Jalen Hurts run. Andre Cisco was called for a personal foul on a touchdown, so the ball was moved to the 1 yard line. And again, we elected to go for a two-point conversion. This was the play that Johnson, number 74, the left tackle who was filling in for Jordan Mailata, he got clipped. He got his legs clipped out from under him in the end zone, and that was what the penalty was from. So again, we go for two instead of just taking the PAT, and he was stopped short of the end zone. And now it's 22-0 when you really should have been up 23-0 if you take the extra point, or 24-0 if you would have just, kicked two PATs. There's no reason to get that aggressive in that moment. Are you trying to establish dominance? Are you trying to say, hey, because you guys are being undisciplined and jumping off sides, we're going to make you pay for it? Whatever. Why not just go up 24-0? Why make it 22-0? Why give this team any bit of life? Okay? Now, after that, the Jaguars start making some plays and they start getting back in this game. And before you can blink, it's 22-16. It was just 22-0, and now it's 22-16. With 1:25 left in the third quarter, Eagles get down the field, and it's a fourth and about a foot at the Jaguars' 25-yard line. Instead of doing tush push, instead of doing like a 34 dive right up the middle, that's what I would have done. Or more preferably, just kicking a field goal. Just kick the damn 43-yard field goal with Jake Elliott and make it a two-possession game. Instead, they run this cockamamie play that's long developing that there's no shot of this shit working. And on 4th and inches, You don't get the conversion. You have to throw the ball away, and now it's 22-16 instead of 27-16, possibly, if you would have kicked the 2 extra points and the field goal. So now you're sitting at 22-16, about to go into the fourth quarter, sweating bullets, even though if you looked at the stat sheets, we were going up and down the field on this team, blowing them out in time of possession, blowing them out through the air. Yo, Trevor Lawrence's QB rating for the game was like 40 or something. It was sub 50. And yet they were still right there in the game against you, even though Jalen Hurts' QB rating at the end of the game was like 130 plus. How do you have a QB rating of 130 for one guy and then a QB rating of like 40 for the other guy, and the game's neck and neck? It makes no freaking sense. But this is what we're dealing with, and this is what we're talking about. The boneheaded decisions earlier on in the game made things so much harder later in the game. Trevor Lawrence, 169 yards on 16 of 31 passing, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns, 2 sacks for 14 yards, a QB rating of 40.9. Yet they're in the game in the fourth quarter. It's a 22-16 game. You tell me how the hell that's even possible? Plausible? What? Then Jalen Hurts, 132.3 passer rating, 2 touchdowns, 230 yards. Saquon Barkley going the F off, looking like Barry Sanders, damn near. 27 carries, 159 yards, 1 touchdown, including the video game play where he did a spin move and then jumped backwards like he was in the Matrix. Even Jalen Hurts, 13 carries, 67 yards for a touchdown. And a few of those times were because he had to make plays, because it was crunch time. The game got close for when it didn't need to be, and then Jalen Hurts had to, put his body on the line a few times and make some plays. Completely unnecessary. Travis Etienne, 3 carries, 24 yards. 8 yards a carry, but 24 yards. He didn't do anything. Tank Bigsby, 8 carries, 22 yards, 2.8 yards a carry. Dearness Johnson, doing nothing. 2 carries, 6 yards. They did nothing on offense. And yet this was a close game because you have a head coach that is too aggressive for his own good at times. And he puts you in more positions to fail than he does to succeed. And in spite of his incompetence and arrogance, it could be one or the other or a mixture of both, we were able to win. But that's off of sheer talent. And at a certain point, when do the players start checking out? Brian Baldinger, he already put the word out there that over the bye week there were some Eagles players that had a conversation with Sirianni. And what do you think they were talking about? They were probably talking about some of these things: the over aggressiveness, the putting the defense in untenable spots when you don't need to, because you're being overly aggressive on offense. All these little things that accumulate over the course of a season. Yeah, you're 6-2 now, but you could just as easily fall apart like you did last year when you were 10-1 and completely fell to crap by the end of the season and limped into the playoffs just to get your head kicked in, because the problems are the problems until you fix them. And this year, the problems aren't with the personnel. The problems are strictly with the head coach. Last year, you had some issues with personnel, especially on defense. But personnel is not really the issue right now on offense or defense. If anything, the defense kept you in the game and bailed you out. Nakobe Dean, thank you. Without Nakobe Dean, we might be talking about the second worst comeback loss in Eagles franchise history. How do you feel after this win? Do you feel like you won? Or do you feel like we snatched victory from the jaws of defeat? Or do you think that we almost snatched defeat from the jaws of victory and just got lucky? What do you think? Because how many more weeks of this do we have to go through? Seth Joyner, loved him to death, former Eagle great, a great linebacker, all-time great linebacker, really. Hey, put out on social media, our head coach is officially an idiot. How many of us in the tri-state area, especially in South Jersey and Philadelphia, Or how many of us are going to disagree with that? And look, I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I try to, be fair and balanced, as unbiased as possible, but it's right there in front of your face. I've been saying for a couple of weeks, I might have said in one of my last videos, or at least on one of my live streams, he gives me Rich Kotite vibes. Now, I wasn't really old enough to understand what we had with the Eagles in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s, but I certainly remember Rich Kotite and some of the boneheaded calls he would make during some of those games with the talent he had. You're talking about the remnants of the gangrene defense, and you still had a very, very talented team on offense. You got Ricky Waters. You got Cunningham coming back from the ACL surgery or injury. I mean, you had a lot of you had the structure of a championship team that was just given to you pretty much by Buddy Ryan as a layup because Buddy never put the proper time and effort into developing the offense. But the defense was always there. But all you needed was an offensive mind to be able to just get the offense to play at an average level. And a lot of it came down to play calling. He couldn't do it. And he would make boneheaded call after boneheaded call. And after we got tired of him, we kicked him out of the vet, and he went up the turnpike to the Jets and proceeded to destroy another team in green and just give them the same nightmares that we had watching him coach for 2 years in Philly. And I'm getting the same vibes from Nick Sirianni because it's a high-pressure job in a high-pressure city. The expectations are through the roof. However, simple decisions like going for it on fourth down when you're up by 2 possessions and you're in scoring range for an easy field goal, 40 yards, 45 yards, why not take that? But then you want to turn around and kick a 57-yard field goal with Jake Elliott, who that's a long field goal for anybody. And don't get fooled by what these kickers are doing nowadays. Kicking it 58 yards, 60 yards, and making it look easy. These are not easy kicks, and you're going to put him in a high pressure situation where if he misses, now you're in a one possession game, and you give momentum to a team that's been struggling all day, and near the end of the game, without Nakobe Dean to bail us out, we would have remembered Trevor Lawrence driving down the field and possibly throwing a touchdown after doing absolutely nothing the entire game and looking like, what he's looked like this entire year. So a lot of frustration. Let me know what you guys think, but they have a lot of things to fix going into this next week because if this doesn't change, it's just a matter of time before they run into better teams and they don't get away with a lot of these mistakes they're making. So that's the way I see it, and that it is what it is. At least we got Saquon and Hurts, and man, AJ Brown. I hope he's healthy, man. He went out with that knee injury, got downgraded from questionable to out. Hopefully it's not anything serious, but thank goodness for Smitty. Smitty, when AJ went out, Smitty came in and took over. He said, you know what? Oh, they say I'm not a number one receiver. Hold my beer. Put the cape on. Put the skinny Batman cape on. And that catch, we had three plays in that game I can think of specifically that were highlight reel plays. Obviously, the Saquon Barkley run where he leaped over the guy backwards. The catch, the throwing catch to Devontae Smith. That catch in the back of the end zone was phenomenal, man. It was phenomenal, and to get the feet down with that level, the level of difficulty, to have the concentration to pretty much catch it with one hand while turning a little bit with his body and dragging the feet down. Man, that was one game-saving touchdown. And then Nakobe Dean had the second game-saving play. That was a phenomenal interception. That was a 50-50 ball thrown up by Trevor Lawrence. And, I mean, do you blame it on Trevor Lawrence? Do you blame it on the receiver? It just all I know is Nakobe Dean played the ball pretty well. He played the receiver well, located the ball, and he was there. He got positioning, and that was that. And he caught the ball and executed. So look, great players making great plays, but that's not going to cut it on a week to week basis. So let me know what you think, and catch you on the next one. Deuces.